Welcome back guys to Voicey here and another r/entitled parents. Don't forget Voicey veterans to like, subscribe and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story was called Entitled Parent Doesn't Know What a Service Dog Is. In the cast is me, a friendly potato, F friend, D service doggo that my friend has, EM Karen, GK good kid. The backstory. Me and friend were working an open house at our college. We were advertising a club we participate in. Friend has a service dog that is still in training for her severe anxiety. She is normally very friendly when people come over and ask to pet the dog, but eventually it gets annoying after a while. It's important to note, in case you don't know, you should never pet, call out to, or get a service dog's attention because it can distract from doing their job. Therefore, they cannot alert their trainers if the trainer is in distress. Distracting a service dog is like pulling out someone's wheelchair from underneath them. The story. Me, friend and doggo were all at the open house trying to get incoming students' attention and possibly recruit new members for their club. Doggo was laying down under their table, keeping a close watch on F. Many people came up to the table, asking to pet the dog. F says it's okay at first, but starts to get fed up as many people just came for the dog and weren't interested in the club. Eventually, F puts up a sign, telling people to leave the dog alone and ignore her. It's also important to note that due to her anxiety, Friend has a hard time standing up for herself. Everything was going okay, until entitled mum and good kid came. GK, about 3 to 4 years old, yelled, "Puppy!" and ran towards Doggo. Friend froze in place while I stood in front of D, somewhat blocking her. I then knelt down and told the good kid that Doggo was a service dog, and that while it would be hard, he needed to ignore her because she was working right now. GK somewhat understood. He wasn't a bad kid. He was young and probably hadn't seen or didn't know how to act around a service dog. Then came EM in tow. Surprisingly, she didn't have the typical Karen attributes. She started asking me what I was doing. "What are you saying to my son?" she asked me. "Miss, I was just explaining to your son that the dog here is a service dog and why he can't pet her," I said happily. "Well, why can't he pet her?" she said, raising her voice. I then repeated my whole lecture about how to act around a service dog. Also to note, this was an open house for college students, and I never saw the EM's older child. After I'm done explaining, EM starts to back up again. "Well, that's a dog, and dogs are meant to be pet," she said in that classic Karen tone. "Miss, if you distract the service dog, that's the same thing as asking someone to get out of their wheelchair." "But your friend can walk fine. That's not the point," I said, starting to get annoyed. "It's just a dog. It's not like petting it will hurt anyone. Go on, GK, you can pet the dog." To my surprise, GK looked up at his mother and just stared at her. I guess my lecture got to him better than Karen. EM started pushing GK towards the dog, to which he just ran away into the crowd of people in the gym. I assumed to find his older sibling or maybe another family member. EM then gave me a death glare, saying something along the lines of, "Now look, you ruined this fair for GK. I hope you're happy, you lowlife. I bet you just love to ruin children's fun, don't you?" At this point I'm fed up, and I'm done being nice out of respect. I'm usually very sassy, so I respond to her, "Well, at least it's not my job to suck the life out of everyone. You must be really good at that." I don't know why I said this, but it's what came out of my mouth. EM then got very red-faced and stomped away. F thanked me for sticking up for her, and we had a good laugh. The fair ended with us only recruiting a few members, and Doggo got lots of treats and hugs when she was off duty. I later found out that I was reported for inappropriate behavior to the student government, who are in charge of all clubs on campus. But because it's college, there isn't anything they can do, so we all just kind of laughed and moved on with life. I'm not sure why EM thought this was a fair. Sure, it was an open house, but there was nothing too exciting going on. At least I have a funny story now. Isn't it supposed to be really obvious when it's a service dog? They wear something special either on their back or on their collar so that you know that they're not just a pet dog, they're actually doing something. I like the analogy with the wheelchair. You wouldn't just go up to a disabled person and take their wheelchair right from underneath them. Well, I don't know, maybe an entitled parent would do that as well. But assuming they're a half-decent human being, they wouldn't do that. It should be likewise with the service dog. They're there to assist the person who needs it. It's kind of sad when a 4-year-old is smarter than their entitled parent. This story was called Edie demands homeowners let him park on their yard and commits several hit and runs when told no. This happened several years ago at home football game. and I lived near a busy street, so there's a lot of traffic by my house. For some reason, people not from this area feel the need to drive on people's yards, as if it's a parking lot rather than on the curb. Not only that, but the city and college provide visitors with free parking in lots closer to the stadium, so there's no reason for the drama that occurs over parking. On to the main event. I was talking to a few of my family friends that have just arrived at my house for the game, and I let them park on my driveway and moved my car into the backyard. For those who don't know, some inner city homes such as mine have their driveways parallel to the house rather than a direct connection from the house to the road. Cue entitled dad. He drives in a shiny new F-150 and demands I let him park in my yard next to my car. They're not my friends or family, so I told them no. But he was ticked and decided to turn around, and I watch him head towards another house which also had a family gathering. I'm not sure if he talked to them first before approaching me, but I could hear them shouting at each other from 3 houses away. I figured he'd assumed the family cars were also a pass to park there, but he wasn't taking no for an answer. The truck turns towards their yard and guns it through their property. I could see people scrambling to get out of his way, and his truck disappears behind the house for a moment, but then he comes flying back out, runs over an old man and drags him out to the street. At this point, the entire family runs to the guy's aid, and I turn around to tell my family to call 911 and request an ambulance. I assumed the ED was long gone after that wonderful display, but unfortunately I looked back to see the grille of an F-150 headed straight towards me. As it goes off the road towards me, I try to jump out of the way, but it was too late, and my arm takes most of the impact, which sends me flying to the ground. ED then storms over to me and I'm laying on the ground, trying to process what just happened, and proceeds to scream about how it's impolite to refuse hospitality to guests, and that I should be willing to allow visitors to park anywhere to accommodate them. Now, I'm pretty sure the impact and me falling on the ground didn't last for more than a few moments, so ED either had to plan this stupid confrontation where I get knocked down, or he underestimated his stopping distance, but didn't care what happened afterwards. I want to say that I came up with something witty, but while he's screaming and gathering his stuff to leave, I'm just too focused on trying to get up. Thinking back on it, it was a weird feeling that I never felt again. I could hear ED and watch his family get out, but I couldn't speak, and the only thing I could do was slowly get up and ended up walking backwards into the road without realizing. Luckily, there was no traffic because a Subaru was just sitting there, blocking the road, probably because the driver was completely stunned at the whole ordeal. I didn't say anything, and just went back in my house to grab a rifle I kept for self-defense. By the time I got back out there, ED and his family was gone with the truck parked horribly on my property. The street was pretty chaotic as the Subaru was still sitting there, while several cars down the street had their hazards on as countless people were surrounding the old man, trying to help him out. Ambulances and police arrive a few minutes later to sort this whole mess out, but thankfully no one was seriously injured, and the old man seemed like he was going to make it. A police car remained within sight of ED's pickup for a few hours, but I never saw ED again. The patrol car left and the pickup was still there the next day, then disappeared while I was at work. Eventually I moved after a landlord purchased the property to build apartments. This story was called When You Live in an Ultra-Orthodox Neighborhood, It's EPs Everywhere. Hell, warning, a bit of a rant. My husband and I, male and female 29, live in an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood in Jerusalem. Well, we are Orthodox Jews ourselves, recently secretly off the Durich, meaning no longer religious, at least in belief. Not a day goes by, especially on a weekend, when you don't have a baby cry for over half an hour straight. And Shabbat is the worst here. Okay, maybe it's because on normal days hubby and I leave early for school, and or work depending on the day. We only get home late enough for the little kids to mostly be in bed. On Friday we are usually doing all the errands we have no time to do during the week. But Saturday is our well-deserved chill day. We typically spend it at home, and the goal is to just chill, to read, eat the good food I cooked the day before, sleep in, and just hang out. Except for some reason, every Saturday, the kids are positively feral. They're running around, literally screeching like wild monkeys. The worst part is, the way they discipline their kids is either hitting them, so they scream and then are kicked out of the apartment for screaming, so they just scream for 1 to 2 hours straight in the hallway, or just kicking them out of the apartment so that they're banging on the walls and doors and screaming for 1 to 2 hours straight. And since each family has so many kids, we can't really tell which kid belongs to which family. Also, we are relatively new to the neighborhood, so nobody knows us just yet. And because we are modern, they stay away. We enjoy this privacy. Had we chosen to live in the more expensive community most of our friends live in, people would be paying attention to our every move and we'd hate it. And we are still visibly orthodox. I cover my hair and dress to their modesty standards, and my husband wears the garb, but we are unknowns. And the ultra-orthodox are wary of unknowns. This morning was the worst though. At 8 AM on the only day we can sleep in, we wake up to the loudest cacophony of pots and pans ever that literally would not let up. Note that a lot of aspects of this is not allowed on Saturdays, especially among the ultra-orthodox, who are far more stringent. You're not allowed to play instruments on Saturdays, and you're not allowed to do anything that disturbs the peace or is loud. From the age of 3, the age of Chinook, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these badly, or education, parents are supposed to reprimand their children for breaking the Sabbath and stop them, even though they're not cosmically responsible for their actions until Bar Mitzvah, at 13 or 12. The pots and pans continued, and because we live in such a dense neighborhood, we couldn't figure out where it came from. And this was like next level, even louder than the summer camp pots and pans. I had to go outside to the public square, facing the building that I felt was the culprit, I couldn't see the kids, and scream, "Forbidden on Shabbos, you're waking up the entire neighborhood!" The noise immediately stopped, only for it to start back up again muffled, and then later, full force. They probably started again while the mum was prepping Shabbos lunch and the dad was in synagogue, only for the mum to kick them out, only for them to upset the neighbors. I suspect Abba, dad, came home from shul and gave them a piece of his mind, and that's why they finally stopped. This pattern continued until just a few minutes ago, from 8 AM. It's almost 1:30 PM now, and our weekend is ruined. How such kids enjoy banging pots and pans in various permutations this loud for this long is beyond me. My husband and I stayed up late chilling, and so we got about 4 hours of sleep due to the entitled brats. The parents in this neighborhood barely discipline their kids. They kick them out of the apartment so that they're a pain in the neck for the rest of us instead of them, continuing the same annoying obnoxious behavior. And because the ultra-orthodox worship children, they see kids as innocent and malleable, and the future of their sect. And each Hasidic sect and the Litvaks are all vying for dominance through having as many kids as possible. They run amok and get away with everything. Then again, if I had 12 kids, I wouldn't be able to control them either. We didn't want to be child-free when we got married, but now we do. We simply don't see what good children bring a household, as the only time we see them around us, they're being brats. And their parents tell me, "But they're just playing, let kids be kids." I wish we had a better experience with young children, but the level of entitlement of the parents here is just beyond. I don't want to be so embarrassing when I'm a parent, that my love for my child means they can do no wrong, or that I have my hands so full. In my community, you either have 10 plus kids, if you're fertile, or 0, if you're not. So I'm getting a 10-year IUD, and when the community asks, I'm infertile. Shh. I think that'd actually be really hard to live and pretend like you're one of the rest of them for so long. At what point do you just go, it's not worth faking it anymore, and you just live your own life somewhere else? This story was called Entitled Daughter and Mum Throw a Tantrum Over a Broken Nail. This is my first post here, and this fun story happened about 20 minutes ago. I am currently with my mum getting pedicures at a nail salon. It's the day before Thanksgiving, so it's pretty crowded, as everyone wants to look their best tomorrow. We're sitting in the waiting area near the front of the salon, gossiping about family stories and other random things, when in barges Tina. I have no idea, it sounds like an entitled daughter's name. And her cliched named mother Karen. To give you an idea of what this girl looks like, she's wearing black leggings, white tennis shoes, and greyish blue hoodie, and matching scrunchie. Tina immediately says, "Excuse me," and demands the attention of one of the nail salon employees. One woman calls out and says, "Can I help you?" This rude girl goes, "I broke my nail. It's just one nail. I need someone to help me fix it." Her mother just stands behind her daughter letting this happen. Fortunately, the nail salon woman wasn't taking any crap and responds back, as she's working on someone's pedicure, there's a line. Do you want to wait or come back later? Tina replies, "It's just one nail, it won't take long." And her mother joins in saying, "It'll take like 5 minutes. Now here's the thing. My mum, God bless her heart, is a southern boomer. Now if any of you from the southern US know, they can't hold their tongue and will say what's on their mind. My mum leans over to me and loudly goes, "I can't believe this girl thinks she's so entitled she can just jump up in front of everyone. What kind of parent raises their child like that?" I am holding back laughter as this girl and her mother glance at us and look appalled for being called out. The girl grumbles, "I'll wait," and sits down while her mum slowly follows suit. My mum and I are in the middle of our pedicures. They finally sat this girl down, but haven't helped her yet. It's been 10 minutes since I started writing this, so it's been 30 minutes total. She's tapping her foot and looking around expectantly. It's cracking me up because no one is paying her any mind. Good on these people for treating entitled people the way they deserve. Some people believe that just because somebody has a business, that they're basically owed those services just for existing. Trade should be voluntary and free. Anything else involves coercion. And I don't think any of us want to live in a world where entitled people get to bully others to serve them. Post your stories, memes, and fan art at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.